everyone, and welcome to another episode of Little Give. We have Jason with us today, and I'm really excited to peel back the layers of him and his story and all the amazing things he's doing to help others. Go ahead, Jason, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what you're all about.
Okay, my name is Jason Tuttle. I'm the creator of the Letters to Zachary Facebook grief blog page, as well as all other forms of social media. I am from Atlanta, Georgia, actually kind of the southwest side of Atlanta, Georgia. And the reason why I created Letters to Zachary was I'm the father of two kids with multiple physical and cognitive disabilities. We do have some rare issues. Well, about 2.5 years ago, my son suddenly and unexpectedly passed away due to issues relating to his medical special needs. And in the process, after losing my son and grieving for about a year, I started going to counseling. And through counseling, it was her suggestion about me trying to start journaling. And whereas in the beginning, I didn't necessarily want to share it with anybody, I journaled to myself for several weeks, almost several months. And I finally got to the point where I was just like, hey, let's share this to the public. Maybe this will help somebody. So when I did, after the initial sharing of one of my journal entries, I got a massive response. And because of that massive response from typically a lot of mothers and wives, the females, not so much the males, I decided I wanted to make it kind of a public platform. Thus, Letters to Zachary was born, and I started reaching out to the grief community. And because of me reaching out to the grief community and getting help with big names, small names, medium names in this community, this page has grown to about 1,000 followers. We've got representation in 24 countries and just about all of the US. We have people from all parts of the country. So this is kind of my way to help express myself as a male, help to get the word out about men's emotions, vulnerability, and feelings as it relates to grief, to create a safe space for men, as well as to help give women the tools and empower women to understand how men grieve during this process.
Wow. So much to unpack there. Well, I'm grateful that you decided to share, because I think so often we go through, or we're growing through something just really tragic and hard, and then we kind of keep it to ourselves and we suffer in silence. And so the fact that you've made this platform where other people can, come along the journey with you, and, you can help uplift them, and y'all can understand each other. That's got to be incredible.
Certainly. This honestly, I joke with people, but initially the reason why this page started outside of wanting to help people was almost out of spite. And I say that because when you go onto Facebook, and we all know you can find a group for anything on Facebook, all the groups I was in was 95% women, it was 5% men, and of that 5%, maybe 0.5% was in there regularly, to the point of posting to where you could see what they were posting. And so I wanted someone, maybe not experience exactly what I experienced, but something close that I could, talk to, bounce ideas off of it. And I didn't have it. So instead of me sitting back almost complaining about it, I thought, well, I need to do something about it versus just complain about it. And so I did that in hopes that I could get more men to come to my page, because I was trying to set an example to say, hey, I'm a man, I'm doing this. It's okay to be open. It's okay to express yourself, to get men to come to the page. And because I've done that, the average percentage of men on a Facebook page is approximately 4%. I currently have 12%.
Wow, that's incredible. And so, how has this been for you? And obviously, you're going through this pain and you're
Mhm.
grieving. And then now, of course, you're getting all this exposure. You're getting so many
Mhm.
people reaching out to you and sharing their pain. How has
Mhm.
that been for you? Has it been a healing journey, or right away off the bat, or was it kind of a little bit nerve-wracking in the beginning?
It was a little bit nerve wracking in the beginning, just because I knew that once I posted something online, as much as I wanted a positive response to it, I had to brace myself for possible negativity, even with what I was doing. And so it was nerve-wracking at that point, but then I quickly got beyond it because I almost immediately got a lot of positive response. And because I got that response and it made me start to think, well, hey, I've got something here. It started to become a healing process for me and a cathartic experience. And even as of the other day, my wife said to me, you may not notice it, but all this grief stuff that you're doing has made a huge difference compared to, say, that first year when we were dealing with the loss of our son.
Absolutely. How has it been for you in your experience? Has it really helped you heal a little bit?
It has. As we all know, grief is a lifelong journey and it will never go away. But since doing this, instead of having the constant episodes, the great example that they give is grief is like an ocean. In the beginning, it's almost like a hurricane where you get hit by wave after wave after wave. But then you move through the hurricane. And after you move through the hurricane, the waves get a little bit farther apart and a little bit farther apart to where they now become a little bit more bearable to deal with versus just almost being drowned by them. And I'm at the point to where the waves are still there, but it's more like a rogue wave versus just a constant battering of the waves up against me. So this page has really helped with me expressing my emotions, getting it out, as well as helping me grieve by helping others.
The helping others component is very rewarding. Wouldn't you agree?
Certainly, very much so.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Driving Single Parents, a 501c3 nonprofit serving the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County, Texas. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the great work that our organization is doing for the citizens of San Antonio. What you're about to see is just a few photos and videos of the way that we're changing lives for single parents in and around San Antonio, Texas. Our first giveaway took place in April of 2017, just one short month after the formation of our organization. John, a Bexar County resident, was the victim of a horrible drunk driver incident. He and his daughter survived the crash, and we were so proud to give our first car to this deserving family. Fast forward to 2020, a very difficult year for nonprofits. We were able to secure 4 vehicles for single parents in need. Our organization, including our board of directors, list of partners, and portfolio of people we've been able to help in San Antonio, continues to grow, and it's all thanks to donors and local community organizations that have helped us along the way. This giveaway took place in 2021 and shows that we continue to help single parents even after the struggles brought about by COVID-19. Because of limited funds and the overwhelming need, we at Driving Single Parents are incredibly selective with the people we help. Some are victims of domestic violence. Others had a spouse pass away tragically or otherwise fell on hard times. These single parents show adversity in the face of challenge and aren't looking for a handout. We offer a hand up and help get them back in the driver's seat. Many of the single parents we help go on to graduate college, get promotions, get married, mentor others, and some have even been so touched by the gift we gave them that they have decided to join our board of directors to pay it forward and ensure the continued growth of our organization. If you would like to help our organization continue to grow and continue to help single parents in need in San Antonio, Texas, and Bexar County, Texas, we would really appreciate your support. Please visit us online at www.drivingsingleparents.org. Thank you.
So I know that this has gone off to do more. I know you started the page and you've gone through that and it's like, oh, wow, you're really starting to help people and started to heal a little bit yourself, a little bit here and there. And then now you thought, okay, what else can I do? Tell us a little bit more about the next steps that you took to continue to make this impact.
Certainly. Outside of just reaching out to big names in the grief community and connecting with them, and some of them I've already collaborated, that was kind of a first step. My next big project is I've decided that I wanted to do something tangible that people can hold in their hands. As I'm very tactile and just in how I act and live life, I decided that I wanted to work with a publisher to create a grief coloring book. The biggest reason why I wanted to do that was it was a way to help the grief community as well as give back to the grief community. What I mean by that is kind of threefold. First of all, for those people that would like to still try to help out with the coloring book, you can go to letterstozachary.com. You can go on that page, scroll down just a little bit, and I believe it's community project is the button that you would click. When you click on that, you would go to the survey that comes up for you, and you don't really give personal information per se. Now, you'll give your first name and last initial and maybe your child's name on the first page of it. Then after that, the next page, I believe, is you go onto a page and you list attributes, things about your child, things that they liked, things that were all connected to your child. And when you put all of that in there, and after you submit the survey, what will happen is it will go to the publisher. The artist will get the information that you've sent, and they will compile all of that information to create a coloring book page based on everything that you've submitted to that. So then that makes that a active and interactive kind of living memorial to your child in this coloring book. Now, the biggest thing about it is anybody that submits something to this coloring book, it does not cost you anything. It is free. And I want to make sure people understand that to submit it, it's free. So this is something you can do without any financial means towards you. On the other hand, the next fold of it is I have worked with a lot of people in the grief community, foundations, websites, podcasts, TV shows like this, where they have all done something to help me get my feet on the ground, help to get me started. And so what this can do for them is they can go in there and do the same thing, but then on, I believe it's the next page, they can list what their foundation is, what their podcast is, what their website is, and it'll get listed on the back side of it. So not only is it free for them to do it, once this book comes out, it's free advertisement for them. So they don't have to put a single cent in to get free advertisement for their organization, foundation, website, podcast that they can then promote for them, as well as me promoting for me, to get the word out about their projects that they're working on. So it's a way for me to give back to them. And then lastly, the other fold of it is grief is a difficult topic, as we all know. It's not exactly what maybe TV shows you or society shows you. It's hard to talk about. So what I wanted to do was to do something that could ease the subject area. So like I still have my daughter around, and I could take this coloring book out, give her some crayons, and she could color in this coloring book. And we could talk about these difficult topics while she's de-stressed per se, coloring, doing something she likes that relaxes her. And we could, I could kind of grade schooler, kindergartner ish talk to her about these difficult topics to be able to get these feelings out with my child. And even on the adult end, if you're of my generation, adult coloring books have gotten popular. So this could even be something for adults. So those are the three big reasons why I wanted to get a coloring book out for children, adults, and people that I've worked with in the community. It's kind of an all-encompassing project.
It's such a cool idea, and I like how you've put so much thought and intention into every aspect of it. So tell
Certainly.
us why you chose a coloring book. You could have written a book about grief. You could have written a book about your experience, a memoir. What made you decide, hey, a coloring book is exactly what I want to do?
Well, ultimately, I'll probably do a book at some point, but the coloring book, I wanted something that would catch people's attention. There are a lot of us in the grief community that the first thought we think of is, I'm going to write a book. And books are great. And from what I've seen from my perspective, kind of the male niche, they probably need more of them. But it was more that I wanted something to stand out, something that took a serious topic and made it as easy and as lighthearted as we could. And even, like I said, something that you're having a stressful moment, you're having a difficult time, remembering the child or the person that you've lost, you then can go to the page that you created for those that submit things and color on it. And it can help you to remind good memories of that person. So it was more or less just the unique aspect of, well, who produces a coloring book? I don't see too many of them out there. I think this will get people's attention. And in other things that I've done, I've had a lot of people go, wow, that's a unique idea. I would have never thought about it. I would really like to look for that when it comes out. So it was ultimately just the uniqueness of it is the reason why I decided to do it.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fraley, and I believe that sometimes we all need a little bit of help. If you're in the San Antonio community and you need some legal help, call me at 210-725-4658.
Yes, it's very unique. And I think it's just so smart. And like you said, somebody being de-stressed whenever they're dealing with these topics that are not necessarily the easiest thing to conversate about, especially with children or even adults. Like even adults have difficulty, with grief. And so it's wonderful that you've decided to do that. Tell us a bit about what made you want to make it a free service.
Honestly, it was the whole aspect of giving back. Because when I first started this whole Letters to Zachary page, like anybody that starts a page, you get 10, 20 followers, a lot of it's family, friends, things like that. And then it typically plateaus. Well, after that happened, I got this idea. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try to contact the people I think are big names in the grief community and see if they'll just give me pointers. And, not knowing anything, being kind of naive to this whole process of grief and grief pages and everything related to it, I reached out to him. I said, hey, my name is Jason Tuttle. I've got this page. I'm not asking for money or anything like that. All I'm asking for is I'd like to grow my audience. Do you have tips of things that worked and things that maybe didn't work? And literally everybody I contacted was more than helpful. I had accounts as small as a couple hundred followers to I had one account. I think she currently has 1.5 million followers. Wow. That came out that said, hey, sure, fine. Well, what are you trying to do? If you're trying to do a book, you're probably going to want a website and you're going to do A, B, and C. If you decide that you want to go, say, more the website route or stay on social media, you might want to do D, E, and F. And that's what a lot of them did. So honestly, this is more of a way to say, I want to pay something forward to you because you were willing. If anything, you gave me your time, however long or short it was, you still gave me your time. I want to do something to help you out that's not going to cost you anything, because what you did didn't cost me anything. So it was more or less to return the favor.
I love that. So selfless, sometimes, people try to monetize things. Of course, we live in America. We've got to eat and drink and pay for everything. And so a lot of times people do try to find methods to monetize, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just was curious to know the backstory, and it's good to hear that you wanted to give back to those who gave to you. And so that's why you've decided to make this a free service, which is so, so cool.
Certainly.
Because you've talked about how you have such a giving heart, I would love to switch off to my little give questions.
Okay.
Can you give the audience an example of a little thing that they can do in their community that might just be a little give on their end, but might make a big impact on the other side?
Certainly. As someone who's on the lifelong grief journey, Um, it's not a fluid process that we go through. A lot of times, those of us on the grief journey, we take 2 steps forward, then take 2 or 3 steps back. And that's at least in the beginning, that's a lot what happens. I'm at the point where that still happens, but maybe not as much. So what I ask for those that are on the outside looking in is that's those that aren't grieving, looking in at me going, well, what can I do? The first thing I would say is kind of reverse your thinking. And what I mean by that is a lot of us in the first 6 months, year, maybe even 2 years get, well, hey, if you need something, contact me. We got to reverse that thinking. Those people that have lost someone have a lot going on. There was a lot of time in that first 6 months to a year that I may not have had the brain power, the desire, the will to want to reach out to someone. So, what I would tell people is, we understand where you're coming from. We understand you're trying to be nice and polite, and we do see that. But reverse that. Instead of putting the demand, so to speak, on us, we would ask that you just reach out to us. It doesn't have to be anything grand. It can be a call, a text, a FaceTime. I would be even willing to accept an email, especially if it was someone long distance. Something as simple as that, just to say, hey, how are things going? We know that most people don't necessarily want to hear the down and dirty, the nitty gritty of what grief is, but just offering that up to us, especially in our most difficult and devastating time, is such a powerful action to us, just to say, hey, I might not understand, but I care. I'm reaching out. If you don't want to talk, great, but just know I'm thinking of you. That's honestly what a lot of us are just looking for.
Oh, I love that example. A fantastic example. Can
Mhm.
you give the audience an example of a time in your life where somebody did something little for you that might have just been, a little give on their end, but really made an impact on you and in your life?
I have to always revert back to the people that have helped me in this grief community. It was as simple as reaching out to some of the podcasts that I have since been on, the people that run those, and say, hey, my name is so and so. Here's my story. I'd love to try to make a great episode for you. And the response I've gotten over time of, yeah, we love your story. We would love to do something on it. Or even like there's a gentleman on TikTok by the name of Lenny Hunt that has a 250,000 followers on there that he does nothing but grief. And after I got to know him, out of the blue, he just reached out and said, hey, I really like your story. I'd like to collaborate with you. Would you like to collaborate on? And he listed the projects that we have since worked on. So it's been those little gives that I honestly never asked for, that were just presented to me to say, hey, you've got a good enough story. We'd love to share your story. And that's meant the world to me. If anything, to at the end of the day, continue my son's legacy through all of this that I'm doing.
I love that you're willing to share your struggles to help other people so they don't
Mhm,
have to suffer in silence. You've
mhm,
just done so much of that and so much giving back with not just your voice, but your message through this
mhm.
coloring book and everything else that you're doing. I'm just so grateful for you.
Certainly.
So, what about nonprofits? Do you have any nonprofits you'd like to feature today?
I do. There's one in the Atlanta area that's very near and dear to my heart. Uh, that's called burtsbigadventure.org. This is an organization that is associated with the Burt Show on Q1. Excuse me. This is an organization that's affiliated with the Burt Show on Q100 FM in Atlanta. Basically, what this organization is every year they nominate, or people nominate, families to be awarded this trip. It's families with children that have chronic and terminal illnesses. And what they do is every year, any station that hears the Burt Show is a listening area that can submit people into Burt's Big Adventure to be nominated to win this trip. if they get in, they send the nominations in. They have a team of 15 or 20, a lot of doctors and medical professionals, as well as the organization, that look through all these organizations and, people, and they award 12 families an all expenses paid trip to Disney. And when I mean all expenses, there's nothing on the family that comes out of pocket. And on this trip, they have doctors and medical professionals. So essentially, this trip is a 1 week full trip to where parents who live with kids with medical disabilities and chronic and terminal illnesses can go relax, make memories, and not have to be concerned at all for the medical issues that they have dealt with all of their kids' life. It's a way to let them relax and live a normal life, if only for 5 days.
Wow.
And on top of that, after the trip happens, all 4 quarters of the year, they throw a reunion of adventures. So what that means is anybody that won the trip, that went on to the trip, from that point forward can now go to their quarterly reunion adventures 4 times a year, every year, for life.
Wow, that is such a cool nonprofit. I've never heard of this one before. And just watching that little clip we saw a second ago just really just brought a huge smile to my face. And I can just only imagine the impact it made on those families. That's so, so incredible. So I understand the reason why you know so much about this nonprofit is because you were once nominated. Is that true?
Yes, we were awarded the trip in 2013. My son was officially 6 years old. That is the one requirement. They have to be 6 at the time in which they're nominated. My son was nominated because, one, all of his multitude of issues. He was born with a rare condition called Eagle-Barrett syndrome. He was born with neurological delays, which means even at the time of his passing at 15 years old, he functions at about 4 to 6 years old. He was born with epilepsy. He experienced 2 different kinds of seizures. He was also nonverbal. He's wheelchair bound per se, but like I could get behind him and hold him and he could walk with me holding him, but to walk by himself, no, he needed a wheelchair. And so it was my son that won the trip, but my daughter won as well, because she was the family. Because once a child wins, it's the family that lives in the house all goes. So my daughter won as well, and my daughter was diagnosed with all of the same exact issues that my son had, except for the rare condition.
Wow. Wow. I can't imagine what it was to go through that, but it's so beautiful to hear the light that this trip brought. I know we have a little clip of whenever you received this information that you got this trip. So I'd love to play that now so that we can show the audience.
Sure.
Tell us the story real quick about Zach and the weather, and specifically one weather guy that will stop the house when he's on.
We used to watch all the different news stations, and then we just stuck one day on 11 Alive right after Chesley had gotten on 11 Alive.
And Chesley, if you don't live in Atlanta, is a local weathercaster on one of our local TV stations. And everybody knows Chesley. Everybody knows him.
Oh, yeah. And so initially, I think the first couple of times it happened, then we just started noticing that it didn't matter what he was doing. As soon as his voice would come on, he would literally stop what he was doing. And then as soon as it was over and he didn't hear his voice, he would go right back to what he was doing.
So what we've done is we've set up a green screen here, and that room right there is where he's doing his news from.
Awesome.
Now, here's the surprise for you guys and for Zach, is he's going to be part of the next weather forecast.
Awesome.
He's going to be on TV.
He's going to be a little mini meteorologist.
He's going to be on 11 Alive with Chesley here in a couple of minutes, and they're going to be doing the weather together.
All right, so let's go ahead and do the forecast for today, and we're going to do the weekend forecast, which is how we show you your wazometer for the weekend. And we start you off with Saturday. If we can take a look at that. Saturday, we start off with temperatures, well, The temperature's okay, but it's going to be rainy around. Does Zach like rain? No, I don't like the rain. Okay, all right. 62 degrees for the high temperature on Saturday, a 6 on the barometer. And then there's Sunday. We got all the folks behind us there yelling Sunday at 8 on the barometer, 63 degrees for the high, mostly cloudy skies, so a better Sunday for us. All right, my friend Zach. You all right, Zach? Yeah, he's just taking it all in, watching the TV, watching himself on TV. How cool is that? Dad, thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you very much. Appreciate you letting us be a part of this. Yeah, all right. Don't you go anywhere. We'll have more from Burt's Big Adventure when we return.
That's so cool. So did they find out that he loves the weather and that's why they decided to make that happen for him?
Well, when you fill out the big packet that you have to fill out, you put their likes and interests and things like that on there. And so that was one of the things that, like, he loves weather. While he was alive, our TV outside of Chesley McNeil literally stayed on the Weather Channel 10 hours a day. We could tell you the weather for the continental 48 US states at any point in time, any day.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's so interesting that is that something you just watched and he naturally just gravitated towards, or how did he become interested in the weather?
He did. Honestly, I think it was the music on he has sensory issues. So I think it was the colors and the movements and the kind of soft music in the background that they play that he really gravitated towards. In fact, as a kind of an interesting side note, one day I got on Twitter when it was Twitter, and I tweeted the Weather Channel. And I said, hey, just want to let you know how much my son really appreciates your channel. He loves it. He's addicted to it. And I kind of left it at that. Well, for those that don't know, the Weather Channel where they tape out of is in North Atlanta. It's about 60 miles from me. And I didn't think anything about it. And about 5 minutes later, this gentleman tweets me back and goes, hey, we love that, your son loves the channel. You'd be amazed at how many times we hear that. And he goes, if there's anything that we can do for you, just let me know. And so I said, yeah, I noticed that the studios are in North Atlanta. I said, do y'all do tours? I said, I think my son would really like that. And he said, yeah, give me a few minutes and I'll get back to you. Well, before he got back to me being the researcher that I am, I was just like, let's make sure this just isn't some random person messaging me. And I go to look up the name. Well, the guy that messaged me on Twitter at the time was the president of the entire Weather Channel.
Oh, wow.
And so he comes back 5 minutes later and goes, yeah, he said, what day would you like? I'll put your name on the roster for when you come in. You'll have to, get IDs and things like that. And we'll take you in. So we went up a couple of days later. It's downstairs in the basement where they do all the hurricane stuff and AMHQ and all the like winter weather stuff down there. And then at the time, Sam Champion, who was on Good Morning America beforehand, was doing AMHQ. We met Sam Champion. We met several other of the people my son had seen on TV. And, he had a blast. We were close to meeting Jim Cantori, the big weather guy, but he just hadn't made it in at that point. But yeah, we even got a tour of the Weather Channel soon thereafter.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. I'm just so grateful that you came on to share your story with us today. Why don't you tell the audience if they want to know more about you or find that coloring book, when can they find it? Where can we find it? Give them all the details.
Okay. The coloring book, you can go to www.letterstozachary.com. The book will come out August 16th is when it's supposed to be released, which by the time you see this, it should be released. I will have a graphic on the page. There's not one currently, but at this time, I'll have one on the page, a link that you can either click to get it through the Belmont City Press or Amazon. It will be on both. So if you're interested, please go to my website, click on that link, and you should be able to find it. As for my other social media, if you're looking on Facebook, I am Letters to Zachary under the same name, same spelling for Facebook for the grief page. As for my other, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, and that's Letters, the number 2, Zachary. for those. My two biggest platforms are Facebook and TikTok, just because they're the ones that I have basically the original material start off first, and then it trickles down through Instagram and Twitter as well. Facebook is more the written word, prose, memes. I take other people's material with their crediting, and I make kind of the male commentary on what they've done as kind of here's something in grief, here's kind of the male side of it, kind of response to it. TikTok, on the other hand, is typically in the moment when I have grief moments and I have ideas and thoughts about grief. I'll go on TikTok and typically it's a 5-minute or less video. And actually lately it's been kind of 3 minutes or less on there, where I'll come in, give kind of a short video, kind of a point in grief, and ask people to comment on the TikTok video. So those are my 4 social medias and the website.
Perfect. Thank you so very much for sharing all of that. If anybody out there is watching this and you want to get that coloring book, you want to learn more about him, his website, his Facebook, his group, everything, please go visit all the places he explained you could reach him at. Reach out. If you have questions, please reach out to him. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to share some insight with you. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed that nonprofit that we featured today, please go visit their website. Learn more about them and all they do. If it's something you're passionate about, go donate. $1 or $5, multiplying by the huge audience that we have, can really make an impact to these nonprofits. I want to thank you once again, Jason, for spending your time with us today and showing us how you can take your pain and turn it into purpose. And we're just so grateful for the time you've spent with us today. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Little Give. If you would like to learn more about how I highlight ordinary people doing extraordinary things to help others, or maybe you'd like to be a guest, or maybe you know a nonprofit that you would like to see featured on a future episode of Little Give, you can find all the information on our website at littlegive.com. If you'd like to get involved with our kindness clip segment, please do send in those videos. Send them via email to cindy@littlegive.com. Or you can tag us on any social media under Cindy Witteman or #LittleGive. If you'd like to know more about our podcast, you can also find us on all major streaming platforms under Little Give Podcast. Please do find our Facebook group under Little Give TV Show and join it. We'd love to keep you up to date with future episodes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to highlight the next ordinary person doing extraordinary things to help others. See you next time.